Welcome back to another episode of Susan Lopresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul. This is the podcast where we explore the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to a woman's life, her health, and just all aspects of navigating the midlife landscape. I'm your host, Susan Lopresti, and today I have a super special guest with me. Her name is Satori Shakoor. She is a storyteller. She comes from a long line of storytellers, old Black women from the Alabama, Mississippi, Jim Crow South. They told stories to teach, to warn, to entertain, to impart. They were masters. To Satori, listening to them tell a story was like watching a movie in her mind. They could make going to the corner store sound like the Lord of the Rings. They spoke the language of storytelling, so Satori learned to speak it too. Storytelling is her gift and her calling, a perfect storm of her passion for stories and also her love of people. Her passion led her to become a master storyteller, story director, and a coach. And this is what she has learned. Everyone has at least one story to tell. Truth is, everyone doesn't know how to tell their story. They don't know how to express ideas or deliver their message in a compelling way. That's where she comes in. It was through her own struggle through menopause that Satori decided to tell her own story of menopause. And empowerment inspires a similar shift in perspective, urging us as women to rethink menopause and embrace it with humor and with honesty. With a community of 5,000 celebrating these conversations, Satori is sparking a change. Her performance, Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale, dives deep into the nuances of aging with resilience and grace. Satori also coaches people from every walk of life: state representatives, senators, clergy, teens, kids, seniors, and possibly you. The coaching and training that she provides is designed to meet your specific needs. She will coach you to tell your story in a way that is compelling, powerful, and in your own unique voice. TED Talk, job interview, speech, pitch, and promote ideas, professional development, or just for fun. Satori will prepare you to take the stage and to speak confidently and powerfully to your intended audience. You will learn how to craft a story that keeps your listeners engaged all the way to the end of the journey where you deliver the gift of your message. So without further ado, let's jump into this conversation that I had with Satori. Satori, thank you so much for being here with us today. Let's get right into it. What got you started on this journey of turning menopause, which is a very serious thing, into a comedy, which I think is great? What was your journey all about?
45, 47, I started to notice things about myself. New things were occurring with me and flat like little hot flashes, or I found myself saying exactly what was on my mind. I noticed that I was offending people. And then I got so used to offending people that I would wake up in the morning and say to myself, you're going to have to apologize to at least three people today. Yeah, I don't know who they are or what random thing, but I had been socialized, as most women, to be nice, you know, be a people pleaser, say what you think they want you to say. And I started coming into this stage of life where I guess I was emerging as a more authentic person. And then I started to have these palpitations, heart palpitations, night sweats. It was just all these things going on with me. And I had heard about menopause, from the Oprah show. And I started asking women who were older than me, tell me about your menopause. Oh, and they would either would tell me they didn't know, they couldn't remember, or that they were too young. And they were 70, okay? Or I refused to go through that. They didn't wanna age themselves. It seemed so secretive and taboo.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew then that I wanted to write about it. I wanted to somehow study myself like a lab rat and write about it and tell stories about it so that I could leave something for women coming into it behind me would know, but I hadn't gone through it yet.
Mhm.
And I made a conscious decision not to take any kind of pharmaceuticals to eliminate or suppress the symptoms because I really wanted to experience it. And then I'm an actor, a singer, so I was cast in Menopause the musical, and I met so many women going through menopause all over the country. And although Menopause Musical was a great show to be in, it was kind of fluffy.
Mhm.
Really didn't address the the deeper, more profound experience that I was having, which was kind of like a revolution of mind, body, and spirit.
Mhm.
That it was an opportunity. I found menopause to be an opportunity for me to reflect on all my years before me, own them, and then be responsible for it. And then out of that, it was kind of like peeling onions back to get to my own power. And I found that saying what was on my mind, saying what I actually thought, being authentic and honest was really a plus. What I had to learn to do was be responsible for what I was saying because it would just fly out of my mouth. I would get pushed, in anger or frustration. And then I realized, oh, you don't have to wait till it builds up. Just say what it is. And it's not blaming the other person. It's just letting the other person know who you are, what you think, and inviting that other person to share with you. So I learned that. I learned I was a cigarette smoker and I stopped smoking 25 years ago. I stopped being in relationships that didn't serve me. So there was this revolution that happened within my life. And so in 2018, 2019, I actually started to write. And it took a long time to write it. Went through a lot of dramaturgy, a lot of workshops. And then I realized, oh, you have written the most exhausting thing to perform in your life. You better make a film because you don't want to do this 8 days a week. So I decided I would make it into a film. Had no idea, how to make a film, never done that before. But you get on a journey, you commit to it, and then you sort of magnetize what you need. So I completed the film. We just uploaded it to distributor. So the film will be released in a couple of months. And I'm very excited for it to be streaming to audiences. And that's how I met Amy and Rick to help get the word out. Now, why is it funny? I'm a comedian, and I think I look at life through this humorous lens because it is kind of funny. It is funny, but there are some very serious
Yeah.
parts to the film. I mean, it really explores a lot of things because I understood that menopause was kind of taboo. There was a lot of stigma
Yeah.
and generally around women, period, starting with our periods. When I told my mother that it was blood, she immediately got angry. I'm like, "Why are you angry? Isn't this a good thing?" My best friend Mildred came on her period, and I wanted to do everything Mildred did. I'm excited. And my mother gave me a belt and a big fat Kotex pad, put me in the bathroom, and she was mad from that moment on. She was 48 and I was 12. I realized I was now a reflection of all her fears.
Yeah.
And so I could get pregnant. I
Right.
could There were so many things that she couldn't protect me from. She couldn't even articulate it because she didn't know she was menopause. Because women didn't live long enough generations and generations ago to even get to menopause.
a lot of them died in their early 40s.
Yes,
So they were just really starting to make that change and they didn't experience it.
yes. Or and now menopausal women are the largest demographic in the United States, maybe the world.
Oh, is that right?
The largest demographic is women in some stage of menopause, and the most powerful and the wealthiest. Tomorrow, I live in Michigan, so I've been invited to go to see the governor and Halle Berry, who is putting herself as a spokesperson.
Yes, I
Come
saw
here.
that.
Yes. So I'm so excited because the purpose of this film was to get women talking. And a couple years ago, I was invited by the Michigan Women's Commission to join a panel to talk about menopause. So I was invited to this. It's called Menopause, a movement. So I'm going to the governor's mansion tomorrow to engage in a conversation. I'm told that they're doing a lot of work.
And so this sort of just worked its way naturally into your life because you were already a performer. And so now
Amen.
you're just telling your story, but you do it from a whimsical type from what I saw on the YouTube video. It was hysterical. Hysterical, but like you said, yet truthful because it is exactly the way you describe it, and it's a very, very difficult time. I read a book by Christiane Northrup.
Right, right. I have that book.
Yes, and the interesting thing, one of the most interesting things about that book is when she talks about how women when we're younger, well, actually, from when we're little girls, we're nurturers. We're always taken care of. And from our own baby dolls, and then, we're growing up and we're taking care of our children, our husbands. And when we get into perimenopause or really menopause, we're done with that. And back in the day, it was looked at as being very selfish that you wanted to do things for yourself and not for others. But I think at this stage of life, in this time period, we're very comfortable with saying, okay, we're done with you and now it's our time. So I just love that. I love it.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have been defined through a patriarchal lens.
Yes.
So if you're not useful, if your breasts aren't perky, if you're not able to bear children, if you're not youthful, you can be youthful, but if you're not young thing, then you're not really useful to certain men.
Right.
So you're supposed to take care of the grandkids, sit in a rocking chair, put your glasses on your nose, and sort of retire and fade into black until you die.
Right.
But we're not that. We're young, we're vibrant. Look how stylish you are. Your glasses wouldn't even look right on the tip of your nose.
Well, I just turned 65.
Oh, okay. Well, see there, 65 doesn't look like 65 from a
Right.
general or
Yeah.
don't look doesn't look like our mothers.
No. Actually, well, my mom looked kinda youthful, but I could remember her mom, even in her late 60s, she looked like a grandma. She was hunched over, dragging her feet on the floor, the bun in the back, the little eyeglasses. Yeah. But women today don't normally go that route. We wanna stay youthful, we wanna stay healthy and young and up on life and what's going on. Things have changed a lot.
Yes. And that's my message. I want women to start to talk about who we are, what we're naturally going through with in our hormonal journey, and to embrace it. I remember when I did the talk a couple years ago at the Michigan Women's Commission, one of the ladies was saying, I just hate excusing myself from board meetings to mop my sweat. And I said, well, my wish for you is that you sit right there in the board meeting, have your hot flash and mop your sweat and keep on going in the meeting. Why should you be ashamed
Right.
of something that's going on with your body? Because your body is just shutting down the reproductive part of its function,
Yeah.
and it's giving you the ability to live without those fears and concern. Oh my God, am I pregnant? Oh my God, I don't want to take birth control pills too long. Oh my God, all of the things that come along with that, and the, the money you save on not having to buy sanitary products and just all of that stuff. So I found that the perimenopausal part was the hardest
Yes.
because I didn't know anything. And then it was just my body was big, I mean, this dripping blood.
Yes.
You,
Anytime it felt like it, right? There was
anytime it
no
felt
schedule.
no sitting in front of an air conditioner, timing my hot flashes every 5 minutes, waking up with soaked sheets, crying and laughing. I mean, crying over reruns of Lucille Ball.
Yeah.
I mean, like, or just crying, period. I'm like, what? I'm not sad. What
An emotional roller coaster.
please.
Yes, yes. And you mentioned heart palpitations. That was one of my first symptoms that I was getting. And I was like, what is this going on here? But during my perimenopause transition, I had so many issues myself. I had terrible gut issues. I gained like 35 pounds, not changing my diet or anything. Migraine headaches, which I never
Oh,
had before, debilitating migraine headaches. And my experience was as I was going to doctors to find out what was going on with me, I kept getting the same response, which it's perfectly normal for a woman of your age to be experiencing all of this. Yeah, but is there something we could do about it? No, you just have to really tough it out. It'll pass. But no one tested me for anything. And I read a book that Suzanne Summers wrote, and she talked about this functional medicine doctor in New York City. And I'm from New York, and I went to see her, and she diagnosed me with celiac disease, Hashimoto's disease. She put me on a regimen of different supplements and changed my diet, eliminated sugar. She had a whole list of things that I was actually allergic to in regards to food, which I never knew. Anyway, that was the beginning of me getting involved in health coaching and starting a podcast and everything else because I was thinking, if I had just paid attention to the doctors that were telling me it's perfectly normal to feel this way, where would I be at my age now? I may be 6 feet under, I don't know. And, so I really started to believe that functional medicine really can make a big difference in the way you transition in life with menopause, and it was incredible. I went on bioidentical hormones for a little bit, which
what's
really
that?
helped me.
What is that?
Bioidentical hormones is they actually match exactly what you're lacking. Like they know what the level should be, and you have it done at a compounding pharmacy. And it's not covered by medical insurance. So everything is out of pocket and super expensive. But it really did help me with my hot flashes and night sweats, my anxiety. I never had anxiety before, and all of a sudden I was getting anxious all the time. So it helped to really regulate that. And once I started feeling better, because it was so expensive, I went off of it. But it's not synthetic hormones, it's natural hormones. So you don't run the risk of cancer. Like, back in the 70s and 80s, women were getting cancer from hormone therapy. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So I went that route and it was a lot easier to go through, but it was tough.
Well, a lot of the doctors don't even know.
No,
Because we haven't been studied.
no.
Matter of fact, I think Oprah said she was misdiagnosed, and Halle Berry tells a story of how she was diagnosed with herpes.
Yes.
You heard that story,
Yes, I
and
saw
so yeah, and so these misdiagnoses are causing issues because it's not what it is, and so also the other thing that you said when you were sharing with me that you went on this journey of health. And that's another gift that menopause gives us.
yeah.
It's called the change of life or transformation. And all of a sudden, you find yourself being and doing something you never dreamed you would be or do. It's a second life. It's and it gives and I'm sure you're passionate about what you do.
I am.
It gives you a direction and purpose, and it
Yes,
makes a difference with other people.
yes.
And that is helping other people, but not in that it's not selfish.
No,
Right? It's huge. It's a service you're providing to the world,
yes.
a larger world than just that one little grandchild or a couple little grandchildren.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to understand and take advantage of at this point in our lives is that we're very powerful as women and that we provided for, we functioned as, we were mothers, we were wives, we were employees, we were myriad of things, and we let those things use us, and
Mhm.
now we have the freedom to dream of ourselves as something more. A lot of women at the stage of when they go into menopause pick up a brush and start painting.
Yes.
Well, I didn't know you could paint. I this woman here in Detroit, her paintings are extraordinary. I think she's 62, and her paintings are selling for like $10,000. She never painted before, or if she did, it wasn't like what she's doing now, right? Actually putting them out there in front of the world and in galleries and things like that.
There's a lot of things that happen for a woman. First of all, you don't care what other people think about you anymore.
Yep.
So she may have had this talent her whole life, but she was shy, small. But all of a sudden, you're like, you know what? No, it's
Mhm.
time for me to shine. The other thing is, a lot of women in perimenopause or menopause get divorced, which I did.
Yes.
I'm done with your crap. I'm not putting up with it anymore. And so people dread it, but actually, I think it's the best time of our lives because we're finally comfortable with who we are. And, and like you said, how you were saying things that in the past you would never say, you would always minimize your thoughts, your feelings. Oh, I don't want to hurt her feelings. Oh, and all of a sudden we mature or we blossom or we come into our own way too late, I hate to say, but better late than never. Right?
Yes. But then we can also now have conversations with younger women who it won't be too late for.
Yes.
And I don't think it's too late. I think it's right on time. I think we were living our lives. And you know how we always say, I wish I knew then what I knew now, what I know now. Well, now you know it. Now you can start living what you know. It really boils down to that. I have no regrets that I didn't know what I know now then.
Right.
You know,
I agree.
I lived those things, and I got joy out of a lot of the things that I did. But now joy and freedom can exist together, where you can get joy and you can get certain little glimpses of freedom. But this is freedom.
Yeah. Yes. And your true authentic self at this
Yes,
stage of life.
yes,
There's no reason to hide behind a veil or minimize your talents or minimize what you have to say or do or want. Yeah. I think it's been the best time of my life, I have to say.
me too.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm in a third marriage.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, and 3 times the charm.
Yeah. That's great. How long are you married?
It'll be 7 years. Well, it was 7 years. We had an anniversary February 20th.
Oh, very nice. 7 years.
'Cause I got divorced during perimenopause too,
Um, yeah.
but I didn't know that that was what it was, that it was.
I didn't either, but as I got a little bit older and past it started to all make sense because I just didn't wanna tolerate nonsense anymore. And I wanted to have respect for myself, which I never did before because I was always worried about the other person in my life and not hurting their feelings and being, and you know what? I was done with all of that.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so do you have any final thoughts that you would like to leave the audience with at this point? A woman who's going through it right now, what's your final thought?
Yes. As you move through it, know that it is a rite of passage, and that when you get through to the other side, you will love yourself even more than you do have ever loved yourself. You will find new purposes for your life. You will be free, and you will still be young, and you can still choose amongst a lot of futures. And but more than anything, please, please watch my film when it drops, Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale. You will laugh, you will cry, you will go on a roller coaster of
Yeah.
emotion, and hopefully it'll feed you and you can relate to it and feel like you belong to a whole huge community of women that understand.
Excellent. Thank you. Satori, thank you so much for being here. I
That's
appreciate you coming on. This was fabulous. A great talk. Thank you. Good luck with everything in the future. I'll be sure to be following your whole journey.
And thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
All right.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Bye bye now.
Bye bye.